Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we are here for the weekend preview for Royal Rumble 2026. We're going to be breaking down the card and talking about all the latest rumors right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Here we are, everyone, getting closer to the Royal Rumble as you join me live on a Friday night. We are, under 24 hours away from the Royal Rumble kicking off. Really looking forward to it. But talking to kicking off, WWE themselves did their kickoff show a few hours ago. Thank you to everyone that joined us for the live watch along for that as well. If you haven't already watched it, then why don't you use us as your companion piece when you do watch it, and you'll see my instant thoughts on everything that went down on the watch along show, on the kickoff show. Sorry. We've also got SmackDown in the books as well. Now, I assume it's like every other time it comes on early internationally, that it is still not yet aired in the United States. So I won't touch too much on what happened on SmackDown, but if I'm honest, a little bit of a spoiler here. Not a lot happened anyway, so there won't be too much that we need to miss off, essentially. But look, it was still an enjoyable show. And one thing I do want to mention is, as mentioned on earlier on stream, it was a little bit weird that it was within the same venue that the Royal Rumble is going to be out. A purpose-built venue, of course, which does look fantastic, don't get me wrong. And also, do not get me wrong, I appreciate that SmackDown was never going to sell the amount that Royal Rumble Stadium should be filling. But it looked a little bit odd in certain spaces. But hey, it is what it is. If you put that in a smaller venue, it would have looked far better. But I completely understand why they wanted to use what they had built for at least an extra event beyond the Royal Rumble. I wonder if Raw is going to be there too. But look, it's more about the Royal Rumble itself in this stream. We're going to be breaking down the card and we're going to be giving predictions. I also want to hear what you guys have to say and what you're most looking forward to on this Royal Rumble weekend. And of course, on the night of the PLE, we'll also have a build-up show where we'll be talking last-minute rumors and we'll have discussions with other members of the crew and hopefully our friends from the wrestling media world. But again, I want to hear what you guys have to say as well. So I can see the comments firing in already. We appreciate those that join in. Again, whether you're watching live or on demand or in the replay section of the build-up show when it starts on Saturday, we appreciate you. But those here on Friday night, we especially appreciate you tuning in and helping me along with the conversation. But there's plenty to sink our teeth into anyway, because we've got some interesting matches and kind of scenarios to predict. Right, let's first of all get to some of these comments. As I say, appreciate all of you guys. But Casper joins us once again, says, hi, Casper, back in the house with you again. Hope everyone at Rebellious Noise and Scott, hope you're doing well. I'm looking forward to the Royal Rumble 2026 this weekend and possibly seeing Royce Keys. Yeah, we talked about this the other day, didn't we, when we did our Saturday night's main event preview. We talked on the Friday night preview there that a little bit of Royal Rumble stuff, and his name did pop up. It's been a name that's been popping up for quite some time, as I'm sure you're aware, others have been already, but he's one of the kind of forerunners as far as surprises go. And let me just get out the gate straight away. I think he is going to be showing up this weekend. But let me know what you think. Will we see the former powerhouse Hobbs showing up on WWE television this weekend as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble? Again, following up with that comment, powerhouse Hobbs in the Royal Rumble. Hope we see him, and hope we also get the return of Y2J this weekend, says Casper, at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, me too. That's another big name again. It's been flying around for a few months now. Again, both AEW themed, of course. Don't get me wrong, got quite a career in WWE himself, Mr. Chris Jericho, but still, having spent a few years there, it's going to be significant if he does return back to WWE, and all sources seem to indicate that will be the case. It says, I'm a hope for a mega Royal Rumble this weekend with stars such as Royce Keys, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, Obafemi, Roman Reigns, and Y2J. Yeah, I mean, looks like all those names apparently will be set. We know Brock Lesnar's now announced himself on a Pat McAfee show. Obafemi has been promoted as being in it. Roman Reigns has declared himself, and Cody Rhodes is looking to capture his third Royal Rumble victory. And again, those other two possible surprises as well. Let me know if you've heard any other names, guys. We'll definitely sink our teeth into those. And again, we'll do more on the build-up show. Aiden's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Gives us a yeet as well. Good reception, wasn't it, for Jey Uso on the kickoff show that WWE did and on SmackDown as well. Aiden was a fan of what he saw on SmackDown. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. B. Peterson says Roman Reigns must win this Royal Rumble. Look, I mentioned it on the kickoff show that WWE did earlier on when we were doing our watch along for it, but a few years back when Reigns won the Royal Rumble, I was one of the many people quite frustrated with that. I wouldn't say I'd be super over moon with him winning it this time, but I wouldn't be as annoyed as I was back then because it's a different Roman Reigns, it's a different period. But generally speaking, as I've mentioned a few times before, I prefer it to be someone that's kind of breaking into that upper tier rather than someone that's been in that position before, let alone won a Royal Rumble before. Aiden says it will be Solo. That's a big call. I mean, that's someone I could have seen doing it a few years back, but it'd be a real shocker for me if he did it this time round. But hey, maybe Solo Sikoa could be coming away and heading to the Royal Rumble as number one contender for a world title. Is the kickoff show up on YouTube for the Royal Rumble, Scott? It is indeed, Casper. WWE went live, UK time at least, at around 2 p.m. We went live alongside it and, again, gave our thoughts on it. So if you do get to watch it, Casper, we'd appreciate if you watch it alongside us. And, yeah, hope you enjoy it either way. Aiden says, yes, it is, in reference to, I can't remember what that was now. Please let Bianca win the Rumble. This is a good call, actually, from B. Peterson here. Bianca Belair, maybe going to be returning at the Royal Rumble. Of course, she's been out for quite some time with an injured finger since WrestleMania, I believe. So let's see if she does make her return at the Royal Rumble. You'd imagine it's a good space for it. And again, leading into WrestleMania itself. If she does, I hope she doesn't win the Rumble. Raquel is a good call from Aiden as well. A lot of conversation about Raquel Rodriguez at the moment. Of course, she has got a title match on Monday Night Raw against Stephanie Becker, so we'll see how that pans out as well. Aiden says he sent his predictions over to me. Let me see if I can get those up, Aiden. I assume you sent it on X at RM Pro Wrestling. Let's see if we can find that. Oh. It's asking me to create some sort of passcode. Brilliant. Fantastic. All right, here we go. Yeah, there we go. I've got your predictions. I'll have a quick look at those in a sec, Aiden. Thanks for sending those through. Appreciate you've sent something a little bit too big for the comment section on VR inbox. Again, anyone who wants to drop us a message, especially if you're going to a show or something like that. Again, Aiden is someone that's done that when he's been to one of the house shows here in the UK. If you're going to a show, or was it a TV taping now? I can't quite remember, Aiden. But yeah, when we get you guys going to shows and stuff like that, it's always great to get your kind of thoughts and feelings on them, as well as your predictions on these streams as well. So yeah, thank you for that, Aiden. Let's get into the show itself. Again, as always these days, not many matches on the PLE card. There are only 4 this time round. When you get these big shows that are named after match types, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, Money in the Bank, it tends to only be 4 match cards as well. But look, when 2 of those matches are pretty much hour-long spectacles with 30 people in each, you can kind of understand. Aiden says it was a TV show that you went to. I get it now, mate. Thank you. I remember now. Right, let's get on to predicting the Royal Rumble. We've already talked about some of your picks and some of the rumors, but let's get into a non-Royal Rumble match first, and something we saw kind of heavily featured on both Friday Night SmackDown and on the WWE kickoff show for the Royal Rumble. Now, of course, there's AJ Styles versus Gunther. Now, Gunther is the career killer at the moment. And he's trying to retire AJ Styles. AJ Styles on SmackDown, though, said, look, he wants a phenomenal farewell tour, I think he said. Basically like John Cena. And I'm in 2 minds, man. Like, I really can't tell if they're just going to do it. Again, I mentioned this on the kickoff show that WWE did when we did a watch-along for that earlier on today, I should say. They Well, Shinsuke Nakamura put up a message, I think it was on Instagram, where he basically talked about his career of AJ and all the niceties surrounding that and their match they had at Saturday Night's Main Event. And he says that a year ago, he asked AJ Styles about retirement, and AJ said he was going to retire at the Royal Rumble. And of course, this set off speculation like wildfire within the wrestling community because people thought that maybe Shinsuke Nakamura had given away a little bit of a spoiler there. And then people started to wonder if maybe he'd done it on purpose and it was a little bit of a swerve or to kind of just get people talking. I don't know where I stand. And I actually don't know where I stand with what's going to happen here. If you'd asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said this, AJ's not retiring. Like, it's a clever little way to do it because Gunther is in that kind of, retiring legends mode at the moment. And maybe he does it later in the year. But I felt like him saying I'm going to retire in 2026 meant it would get at least most of the year. Maybe not retirement tour like he's announced now and like John Cena got, maybe not like a big deal with every PLE with the last time ever, but it was certainly kind of play into it a little bit as they did this past week anyway when he faced off against CM Punk, and of course him appearing on SmackDown, potentially as his last time as the house that AJ Styles built and the face that run the place. But it might not be his last time on SmackDown because he might not be retiring. He might beat Gunther. And again, if you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, he's going to beat Gunther. It's not going to end here. But then you realize it's 10 years since he debuted in WWE. It's at the same event that he debuted at. And they've got this mega run for Gunther at the moment. It makes sense. But it kind of makes sense in a sense that, well, that's how they swerve you. It's a great swerve. It's a great way to get us talking, and I think that's exactly what it's done. So I've started to feel like AJ's gonna lose, but even in I'm getting emotional. I'm a big fan. Even in the last few minutes talking about it with you guys, like I feel like I'm now convinced myself, no. It is just a perfect opportunity to swerve people, and I think ultimately, that's what I'm going to go with. I think that's what it's going to be. AJ Styles is not going to retire this weekend at the Royal Rumble. I've said it. I've committed to it. And this time tomorrow, I could be in tears. Not just because my prediction's wrong, but because we say goodbye to one of the greatest of his generation. Man, I won't go too much into AJ Styles' career and kind of how much I've enjoyed his work here. We might do a little bit of that on the build-up show. And this is what's weird about it, because if we knew it was his final match, I think we'd spend a lot more time doing that. Like, it got me wondering about how WWE approached this, because I've seen a little promo package. It was featured on WWE's Kickoff show where they show some highlights of AJ's career. But if they give him like a big old promo package of like a proper like music video type thing, and he doesn't retire, then they're gonna have to do a bigger and better one for when he does. Like if it is an announced match, or like this is gonna be like my final match, or whatever it is, kind of like what John Cena did do. So it's interesting in that kind of front as well. So they've kind of, even if he's not going to retire, they're going to have to make it believable. Now, what we saw in that Kickoff show could be it, and that was pretty good anyway. But I do think there could be a big one. If they do a big one at the Royal Rumble, it's really going to throw me. But let me know what you think, guys. Is AJ Styles retiring from in-ring competition this weekend? Sami must win the title from Drew this weekend, says B. Peterson. We're going to get to that match very soon. Aiden is not happy about that prediction, as he wants his fellow Scott to retain the gold. Casper says, early predictions, do him Bianca Belair is my prediction. I don't think Becky Lynch will win the Rumble. Big fan of AJ Lee, could win the Rumble as well. Casper hasn't watched SmackDown yet, but we'll be watching SmackDown tomorrow with his brother when he comes in from work. Nice one, buddy. I know you're watching Saturday Night's Main Event with your brother as well, weren't you, last week? So I hope you enjoyed that together, and hope you enjoy these shows as well. Aiden says, if AJ loses, I will cry. Going back to AJ Styles here rather than AJ Lee. Casper says, my prediction, just my opinion. I'm going for a Gunther win over AJ Styles only here. I think AJ Styles will be leaving WWE, unfortunately, only because of Gunther's unbeaten run. Gunther's looking good lately. I mean, interestingly enough, again, SmackDown's happened, right, guys? So if you're watching from the States, apologies. I won't spoil too much. Not too much happened, if I'm honest, but I will be getting into a few things here. But basically, AJ Styles did allude to the fact, as did the crowd very loudly, that Gunther tapped out himself. Remember when he lost to Jey Uso last year, which is topical, of course, because Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble in order to face Gunther at WrestleMania. So it's kind of timely as well. But since then, he's been on a tear. You know, he's retired Bill Goldberg. He's retired John Cena. Will he retire AJ Styles this weekend at the Royal Rumble? Look, again, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say no. And I hope I'm wrong for many. No, I hope I'm right. Excuse me. I'm getting confused now. I hope I'm right for many reasons. And the main one being that I want to see a bit more of AJ Styles. But at the same time, like if he wants to go out of the Royal Rumble because it's where he debuted in WWE, fair enough. If he wants to give it to Gunther because they think they're building something good here, fair enough. And if he goes out after having a fantastic match with Gunther, they've already had great chemistry already in their previous showing together, then again, fair enough. So look, we'll have to see. This time tomorrow, we'll know for sure whether AJ Styles is still an active WWE competitor on the roster or whether he has retired. And then it brings open the whole can of worms as to whether or not it's legit, whether it's a retirement, whether it's an actual retirement, whether he goes to another company. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, it looks like if he does retire anytime soon, that may be it for AJ Styles. And that may actually be just a few short hours away. Again, let me know what you think, guys. If you're lurking in the background at the moment or if you joined the conversation already, we appreciate you. And we want to know what you guys think of the Royal Rumble card and what you think is going to happen at the PLE itself. Again, if you're new here, I'm Scott. This is the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. You're joining us for our weekend kickoff show for the Royal Rumble, of course, coming to you live this weekend from Saudi Arabia, which means it is at a different time. For us here in the UK, it will be starting at 7 p.m., meaning our build-up show will actually be a lot earlier than it usually is as well. I hear you ask, what is the build-up show, Scott? Well, the build-up show, if you're unfamiliar with us here on this channel, is our way to get you guys and us hyped up and in the mood for the big PLE. And again, it's always fun to do it for the Royal Rumble because it's such a crazy event when it comes to last-minute rumors and speculation. We'll also aim to get some of our friends from the wrestling media world join us, and you'll get a few other opinions there as well. So keep your comments coming and let me know what you think is going to happen this weekend, and make sure to join us on the build-up show on Saturday as well. You may be watching this as part of a replay on the build-up show on the earlier part of the coverage, but yeah, the live portion will be coming to you just a few hours before the PLE actually kicks off itself. It'll take you right up until the PLE. That's enough chat about the build-up show. Let's get back to previewing the weekend overall with the kickoff from Rebellious Noise, and let's talk about another one of these matches. Now, we've already talked about AJ Styles versus Gunther, so let's now move on to the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, this is going to be a tough one to pick, guys. 30 women to pick from, of course. Not an easy one to pick the Royal Rumble, and I think this year is one of the harder years in recent years as well. Apologies, just taking a sip of tea. Right. Who is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble? You know what? Let's bring that graphic back up because, again, we've got some confirmed already. So let's look at who's actually confirmed to be in the Royal Rumble this year from the women's division. We've got Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Io Sky. Who's that? Is that Charlotte Flair? Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, Becky Lynch. I was going to say her old name there, Asuka, and Liv Morgan. Now, on SmackDown, you did get a nice little fun promo segment between Liv Morgan and Charlotte Flair, of course, best frenemies. And it was quite nice how they played into that. Again, I'll touch on that a little bit more maybe on the build-up show once more people have seen SmackDown. But I thought it was a fun little promo. I don't think either of them are going to win it. I think out of the two of them, I mean, Charlotte won last year, right? Liv, a bit of a slip there because that's kind of where my mind's going with this prediction. I'll get there in a minute. Alexa Bliss is someone that I could picture winning a Royal Rumble. she's not in the height of her popularity at the moment, or in the height of her being pushed solo because of her popularity at the moment, it seems. So I think there's more to tell with the Charlotte thing, whether it is because they split or something like that. Which again, I hope they don't. I've really enjoyed what they've done together, and I think it's done wonders for Charlotte Flair. So hopefully they stick to it. But out of two of them, I could see Alexa being the one more likely to win it. Then going with the rest of the field here, I mean, you got the tag team champions here. Yeah, they could go out and do their own thing. Becky Lynch, of course, you've always got to take her seriously when it comes to big matches like this. But it's the one in the top left corner for me. I mentioned it just a few months ago, but Liv Morgan is the one that's on my mind. I think that she might be winning this Royal Rumble. I'm not going to commit to the prediction just yet. Let's see if I can talk myself into it. But the reason why I go for Liv Morgan is because there's something going on with her in the Judgment Day. So I just feel like a big storyline where there are kind of competing, I guess priorities within the stable is maybe what we're going to see here. I thought it might come from a tag team title run or a tag team kind of split up between her and Roxanne, but maybe they won't even go at it again for the tag team gold. There is the possibility that come Monday, Raquel Rodriguez is the world champion. She's defeated Stephanie Vaquer. If that's the case, and Liv Morgan holds the number one contendership and then goes after a friend after being able to pick either one, by the way, then that would create an interesting story. One that we've seen a few times before, don't get me wrong. I mentioned it earlier on when we were covering WWE's kickoff show. We see that with Bayley and Damage Control. It's somewhat similar to what we saw with Evolution. You know, when you've got Triple H at the top of the helm, but then you've got Randy Orton and Batista coming after him in kind of quick succession. Sometimes, again, this is using the Royal Rumble kind of to tell that story, and I do think this could be an opportunity here. You've got the other side of the Judgment Day as well when it comes to the men in the group. There's something going on, of course, with Finn Balor. There's still this kind of element of Dominic Mysterio and whether or not he comes back from injury anytime soon. I mentioned it earlier on, but he's still on a promotional material for the Rumble, so there's a possibility he shows up if he is recovered in time. If not, he could certainly still be part of storyline if they wanted to do that as well. Now, of course, Liv Morgan came back a few months ago and attacked John Cena when it looked like she was kind of turning on Dominic at the time. So they've been toying around with this since she came back, and people did at first believe that she'd turn her back on Dominic Mysterio, and it's gonna have to be a big moment when she does. So maybe her winning the Rumble muddies the waters there. Even if Raquel does or doesn't win the championship, we'll have to see how that plays out. Other predictions, look, I think Jordynne Grace is a big one because they definitely see something in her and it feels like they want to push her. She's been highlighted very well in the past few Royal Rumbles anyway. The first one she was in, she was still part of the TNA roster. She might have even been TNA champion, Knockouts champ at the time. And then, of course, she did it once she'd signed with WWE, or at least was close to it, or within the working agreement they had with TNA at the time, where she was appearing more in WWE anyway. This year, though, she's fully fledged on the SmackDown roster. So, yeah, maybe it's time to pull the trigger with Jordynne Grace. Of course, there is a lot going on with her and Jade Cargill, so that plays into it as well. When you go into these Royal Rumble predictions, you do have to keep in mind who they've kind of toyed around with as far as, you know, people saying they're going to enter the Rumble and win the Rumble to go after X or Y. And this time it looks like her and Jade are definitely heading into a feud at some point anyway. So will it be made via the Royal Rumble victory? We'll have to wait and see. Let's get to some of these comments here. I want to know what you think about this match and, of course, the rest of the matches on the Royal Rumble as well. Kieran's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you are doing well. And he says, is AJ Lee and Bianca back tomorrow? We've kind of loosely touched on this already, Kieran, but yeah, I believe Bianca... I believe Bianca would have been back ages ago. And I'm not trying to downplay it. I know it's easy to be like, oh, it's just a finger. But it sounded like it was pretty bad. So hopefully she's all right to come back, but hopefully she doesn't win the Royal Rumble. But yeah, I think she might be one of the surprise entrants that we see in the Women's Royal Rumble. AJ Lee, I think, is somewhat nailed on as well to appear at the Royal Rumble. She's, in and around the division at the moment, and her going after Becky Lynch to maybe set up a WrestleMania match between the two is the scenario here, because of course she helped Maxine Dupree win, and that kind of extended what they'd already done with her and Seth Rollins and CM Punk, so maybe that's what we get here as well. Casper thinks that if AJ Lee is in it, she might actually win. He's going for AJ Lee as one of his picks. And Kieran again asks whether or not she is in the Rumble. It's not been confirmed, Kieran, but it certainly looks like she could be. Kieran says, I'm saying Brock Lesnar and Bianca or Rhea Ripley for the Rumble. We'll get to the men's Rumble in a little bit, but anytime you get a name like Brock Lesnar, I think you've got to take it seriously. Bianca or Rhea Ripley. Since we're talking about the women's one, let's dive into those names a little bit more. Again, Bianca Belair, I can feel it coming. I can feel WWE doing something like that, and I just don't want them to. And look, I'm a big fan of Bianca Belair. I really am. I've liked her since her NXT days. I've had the privilege of interviewing her. She's very nice and great interview. Go check it out on this very channel. But I got to admit, I don't need to see her as world champion. Now, I've said, and I said a while ago, for quite some time, her telling heel, I think, would freshen things up for me. But her going away tends to freshen things up as well. I remember when Becky Lynch went away for quite some time. Her coming back and not going into the main title picture meant a lot. Her going after the IC strap and winning it and putting over Lyra, I think made that title look good, made her look a little bit better in some eyes as well. Similar to what they're doing with Charlotte Flair, taking her away from the limelight as far as the main championships go. I think they got to do the same with Bianca Belair. I think she wins the Rumble, it's going to feel like a wasted spot. And I don't like saying that because I'm a big fan of her work, but again, I prefer the Royal Rumble winner to be someone new, fresh, and breaking into that upper tier. Bianca's been there; she's done that as far as the several world titles now. So for me, it's not necessary. But look, looking forward to seeing her back. Hope she's doing well. Rhea Ripley, again, similar to that as well. Big fan of Rhea Ripley, and what do you know? Managed to interview her on this channel as well, so please check that out. You give me a great chance here, Kieran, to plug my interviews. I've never interviewed Brock Lesnar, though, but I've interviewed Bobby Lashley about his feud with Brock Lesnar, so I guess that maybe counts. Again, on this channel. Right, Rhea Ripley is a prediction. Again, she's one of those names you've got to take seriously when she's in a big match, whether it be Money in the Bank, Elimination Chamber, a world title match, or the Royal Rumble. I don't think they're going to do it here, though. I think her and Rio will go on for a little bit longer. My argument last week when we were talking Saturday night's main event was that if these split up, it might be because of Rhea Ripley turn. I don't think that's what they should do if you're talking about money, because I think she brings in a lot of eyes and therefore money when she's a babyface. At the moment, at least, she could still certainly do that to an extent as a heel. But I think what they've got at the moment is something they'll probably want to hang on to. But if anyone turns heel, I prefer her over Io to turn on the other. I mean, they're tag team champs at the moment. So it's not going to happen at the moment, I don't think. But yeah, that's the only way I can kind of see it with Rhea Ripley. I don't really need her going after a world title at the moment. Again, I'm enjoying what she is doing with Io Sky. So long may that continue. Casper says, we could see Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee at a Women's Royal Rumble if neither win the weekend. Thoughts on Tommaso Ciampa arriving in AEW was a cool moment and spot to see. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well, Casper. Good to see Ciampa looking well and looking happy with his decision. It's a shame he's not with Gargano. I was a big fan of DIY. I was a big fan of their feud. Genuinely is, in my opinion, the DIY story is one of the best stories WWE have told in the modern era. Probably the best story NXT told. Yes, it had a few dips every now and then and kind of twists and turns that were unfortunate due to injury. Maybe it went on a little bit long, but overall, I just absolutely loved it. And I thought that maybe we'd see it continue on the main roster. They were together, baby faces and heel, but they never had that split. Some might have said it was the same old story if we did get that, and it's probably for the best. But it is odd seeing Johnny Gargano on his own again, especially when he's been teaming. Well, not teaming. This is the point. When he's going against a team in a feud. I mean, yeah, he's got Candice LeRae, and that kind of helps. But it does look notable that Ciampa is not by his side when he's going up against Fraxium. So anyway, good to see Tommaso Ciampa in AEW, and I hope it works out for him there. Right. Sludge Sports in the house. Good to see you, mate. Hope you are doing well. You're a little bit late. No worries, buddy. Always good to have you on board. You can always go back to the beginning and start it on demand, mate. But thank you for joining us and dropping your comments as well. We've already predicted the AJ Styles Gunther match. Just to give you a little heads up to what I said there. I reluctantly, after a lot of back and forth, I went with AJ Styles winning. I don't think he's retiring this weekend. And I won't say if he does, I'll eat my hat, because there's a chance I'll eat my hat, and I don't want to do that either. I don't know if I'm correct in that prediction. I think it could go either way, and I keep changing my mind on it for many reasons. But yeah, I've gone with AJ Styles winning that match. Here, though, in the Royal Rumble, I don't know how much you've caught my predictions here, buddy, but I've been saying I think Liv's got a good chance, and I think Jordan Grace has got a good chance as well. Some more comments here from Casper says, we might get Kevin Owens back, but not sure. Yeah, Kevin Owens, I don't think he's ready. I mean, these things could be a swerve, but he's meant to be at a kind of watch party, I think, that WWE holding in Orlando, so it doesn't look like he'll be there. Hopefully we'll get back healthy soon, though. Bianca Belair match set up a feud with Jay Cargill and not getting Tiffany Stratton back in the Royal Rumble this weekend. Yeah, it's weird. Of course, Tiffany, a big star, a big portion of WWE's women division over the past year and a half. She's not been around for quite some time, so I don't really know her status at the moment. Maybe she could be a surprise again. I don't know where she's at the moment. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair being a feud is one I'd like to see. I'd have preferred it to be the other way around. I've been saying for a long time that I think Bianca Belair could have been part of this this attack on Jade Cargill, but now that she's a babyface still, and that Jade is a heel, it doesn't really make sense. So I don't think they'll go in that direction now. But hey, look, we've been swerved before, right? My prediction is off. I had Cody coming in at number 1. It looks like it will be Bron Breakker. Right, let's get into that, Sludge. Look, we'll talk about the Royal Rumble match itself very soon, but you brought up a great point there. Did anyone see, while Fraxium made their entrance, or Axiom did, with Nathan Frazier for his match against Johnny Gargano on SmackDown, that there was a nameplate that came up. Not only was it wrong, it wasn't Fraxium, it wasn't Axiom with Nathan Frazier, it wasn't Axiom alone, it was Bron Breakker. And you might be thinking, all right, they pressed the wrong button. Bron Breakker's name came up. But what did it say next to his name? Entrant number 1. Now, of course, the wrestling fandom has been ablaze since, and people have been jumping all over this, saying that WWE have given away a spoiler. Sludge here says whoever did that is definitely getting fired. Now, I do think it was an accident, but I'm not 100% sure it's legit. And the reason why I say this is because they could just have been testing nameplates, put a name and a number, and it's not what's going to happen. Yes, the nameplates could be ready. They could have all of them. Who's number 17? Who's number 13? Who's number 1? But there is also a chance that they haven't done that, seeing as things are going to change quite a bit over this period. If you've watched any behind-the-scenes stuff around the Royal Rumble, you know that a lot of this stuff happens last minute. Yes, they might already know who's number 1 and 2, because that might be something they've locked in as a bigger story. But I'm not sure if that is a spoiler as such. But could it be? Certainly. It definitely could be a spoiler. There's a big chance it is a spoiler, and that Bron Breakker is number 1. If that's the case, will they change their minds? Will they make him even number 2 so that he goes the whole way still? Surely that's what they wanted to do here. He'd go the whole way. Maybe he'd go the whole way and win it. He's the kind of guy, even if you didn't give me this apparent spoiler, you said to me, who has the ability to be booked as going number 1 and going towards the end, and maybe who has the ability to win that as well? I would say at the moment, Bron Breakker's top of that list. So will we see Bron Breakker win the Royal Rumble? We'll get to that one in a little bit, because we've also got to touch on the match that the Royal Rumble may indeed impact. And of course, I'm talking about the WWE Championship match between Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, of course, has never beaten Drew McIntyre. This is something they're playing to in this feud. Drew McIntyre has only just recently won the championship. Now, just to kind of freshen your memory, he beat Cody Rhodes because Jacob Fatu interfered, believing that Drew McIntyre is the one that kind of put him out of action. And he inadvertently at the time cost Cody the title. Cody and Jacob have been fighting themselves. Drew's been getting involved and taking advantage of the situation. And there's a lot of rumors that that will be the triple threat at WrestleMania for the title. So where does that leave Sami Zayn? So for me, I don't think Sami Zayn is winning. And it's a shame because I want him to be world champion and I want him to have a moment like that in front of a fan base that are massively behind him. I mean, to be fair, most fan bases are massively behind him. But it would be an incredible moment. Now, a few months back on this channel, myself and other members of the Rebellious Noise crew did talk about whether or not Sami Zayn would become Royal Rumble winner because it's in Saudi Arabia. Now that he's won the championship, number one contendership tournament for the WWE Championship, and he has a match at the Royal Rumble for that title, it looks like we won't be getting that. However, if this match goes on before the Men's Royal Rumble, he could lose the match and then enter the Royal Rumble and then win the Royal Rumble. And this is where I start to get stuck because that is a lot of factors, right? It's the kind of thing they would do for that character if things aligned. It's the kind of thing I want them to do, if I'm honest, because yes, Sami Zayn's a big star, but he certainly is someone that's never, ever been the top star. Even though he's been dancing with the top stars, even though he's been worthy of that top position, he has never held the gold. And I think him winning the title is something that has to happen. Sami Zayn cannot be another Razor Ramon or Roddy Piper. Two legendary talents that never held the main title in the WWE. Now, you can argue there are two world titles in WWE, so it's, I guess, somewhat watered down in some terms. But look, either way, Sami Zayn should be world champion before he retires. So, will it happen here? Again, I don't think so. And I'm only okay with that not being the case if it happens eventually. And because of how quick things can change in WWE, we only have to look at the last few WrestleManias to see that. I worry that they will continue to miss the opportunity, that it won't align for Sami. And they'll have to shoehorn it in if they do it. And you never know what happens in this business with injuries and with kind of people kind of getting in the way. So for me, they have to pull the trigger. The other best case scenario was Elimination Chamber a few years ago. But of course, it seemed like they had a different story to tell. Cody Rhodes' story, even though they didn't pull the trigger themselves that year with that. I would have preferred... I loved what happened with Cody, but I would have preferred Sami Zayn to have won. And then maybe Roman won it back. And then the next year, Cody did what he did anyway. I don't think he needed to win the Rumble twice and yada, yada, yada. Will he win it for the third time? We'll see. But for me, Sami Zayn needs to win the world title. And Sami Zayn will not be winning it at the Royal Rumble. I would like to see him go into the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania and beat Drew. I think Drew is the perfect kind of foil for that story. If it's not going to be a kind of fight and battle against an evil tribal chief, then it needs to be a equally dastardly heel in Drew McIntyre, who's done some of his best work over the past few years since he turned heel. Of course, there's that built-in story again where Sami's never beat him, so you've got that underdog story there. That could be enhanced by Sami not doing it at the Rumble, as can Drew's kind of heel persona by saying, look, you ain't getting another shot, mate. And then Sami could go in the Rumble against all odds, win it, and throw out a different kind of bad guy who's going to ruin the party. But no, he doesn't, and Sami Zayn doesn't, and he goes on to WrestleMania. Now, in some ways, I can see that as anticlimactic because people might go, "Oh, we're back where we were at the start of the show. Sami Zayn's got a title shot," but I don't care. I think the moment will override that. I think people will know what's going on, and I think it'd be an interesting story to tell. Again, if you gave me another wrestler, another feud, maybe I would disagree entirely. Maybe I would say exactly that. Oh, why would we have a number one contender going into it, and then coming out of the show we have the same number one contender? They've done that a few times where they've had the same match, and I'm like, could we not have done this could not have ended this already. But I think it continues that story in an interesting way. People feel like he's missed his opportunity, but then in Saudi Arabia gets that moment, because I don't think he's winning the title in Saudi Arabia. Of course, he had Montreal. The story is somewhat perfect, so we'll see if they do that. But this has led nicely into the Royal Rumble prediction. Now, before I get into that, I do want to say that if Sami Zayn isn't winning Royal Rumble, I guess there's more chance, in my opinion, that he could win the world title, but I still don't think he will. So I'm going to go with a victory for Drew McIntyre. Let's now talk about the men's Royal Rumble. And just like with the women, we've got some names already confirmed. Brock Lesnar, not in this graphic, but already confirmed. Cody Rhodes, the tribal thief of Bronson Reed, Oba Femi, Austin Theory, Rey Mysterio, Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Logan Paul, and Penta. Now, of course, there will be, I'd say, 19 other men, because we've also named Brock Lesnar there. And this is another one that I feel is somewhat hard to predict. Look, I've already given one of my names, Sami Zayn, but let's take Sami out of the equation now. And let's think about who may win it beyond Sami Zayn. I know there's a lot of people saying that Oba Femi could do it. Now, I like Oba Femi, and he's the other end of the spectrum for me, where he's too fresh, he's too new, and it would be too much of a jump to the main event of WrestleMania. I'm not saying he wouldn't be good or entertaining, but it's not his time. But WWE have done stuff like this before. They do the person that have had their time, and they do the person who has got their time very, very quickly, and they miss the people in the middle. Your LA Knights, your Sami Zayns, for many years, your Daniel Bryans and your CM Punks. So, with that in mind, I don't think it's going to be Oba Femi. I hope it's not Oba Femi. And look, that's coming from someone who enjoys Oba Femi's work. Let's just go with this lineup we can see here. It's not going to be Austin Theory. It's not going to be Rey Mysterio. It's not going to be Penta. So I don't think it's going to be Logan Paul. It's not going to be Jey Uso again. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Braun Breaker, and maybe even Bronson Reed. I think at another time in his career, it could have been him. And it still could be, depending on what they would do with the Vision. But the Vision are very much behind Braun Breaker at the moment. That might go wrong in the match, don't get me wrong. But at the moment, the plan seems to be look after Braun Breaker. Another name there I wasn't too sure about committing to is not winning is Logan Paul, because he's in that feud, that story as well. And I think there's always going to be that temptation by WWE to push Logan Paul to the moon. Austin Theory, character shift, new member of the Division, just doesn't really make sense for me. As much as, again, I'm a fan of his work as well. It's now is not the time for him, even though, again, he kind of fits that picture of someone breaking into the top tier. I think he's only just shook up his character, and he's kind of fallen into the background of the Division anyway. So I don't think it's going to be him. Cody Rhodes winning 3 times, I really hope it's not the case. I said earlier on when we were doing a watch-along for the kickoff show that WWE did that it could be 3 in a row. It's not. Of course, I forgot that Jey Uso won it last year, but still, him winning for the 3rd time will really, really frustrate me. I was not a fan of him winning it 2 times. I got him winning it the 1st time. In my opinion, we could have got to that same finishing the story scenario at WrestleMania without him winning the Rumble and giving him the Elimination Chamber spot instead. Again, that factors into predictions here, doesn't it? We could go in a completely different direction. There are title matches could change things as far as, at the moment, yeah, it's Drew McIntyre, but it might not become WrestleMania. At the moment, it's CM Punk, but it might not become WrestleMania. So that's a factor as well. I wonder if they play into, if AJ wins his match, by the way, just had this thought, if he wins his match against Gunther, will he enter the Rumble? Because he's not retiring. He's like, hey, here's my next match already. We'll see. But they have already kind of touched on people entering the Rumble that do have kind of other things going on, like Raquel Rodriguez in the women's division. So yeah, we'll see. But look, Cody Rhodes, I don't want to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. I know a lot of people are going for Roman Reigns. Again, I don't want him to do it. I wouldn't be as annoyed as I would have been in previous years, but it to me still is taking up a spot. It's unnecessary. Um, Roman doesn't need to be in a world title match at WrestleMania. In fact, I don't want him to be. I think he'll be shoehorned into it. I think there's so much going on both title pictures that you don't need it. The only one where it kind of makes sense is him and CM Punk and babyface versus babyface. It can work, but I'm not really sure. Let's get to some of your comments, though. I want to see what you guys think. Sludgeport says, my prediction is off. Cody coming in number one. It looks like it will be Bron Breakker. As, again, we mentioned earlier on, there's a spoiler on SmackDown to potentially give that away. We're not entirely sure if that is the case. Cash says, I'm hoping Cody Rhodes and Bianca Belair don't win a men and women's, even though I like her and I'm a fan of Bianca Belair. Cody needs to go in a different direction, I think. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Casper. I think Cody's got other things to do. Good for AJ Styles, also in the Rumble match. Good for Paul, double duty. You could see a scenario where Gunther beats AJ and goes on to win the Royal Rumble 2026 and push him to the sky. 100%. That's the other example. I forgot to mention that one, Casper. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is who they did mention on the kickoff show. Michael Cole mentioned it, that Gunther could be going into the Rumble and have a big night. Essentially, he could retire AJ and then win the Rumble, is basically how they put it across, which he could very much do. Casper also says, I'm going for Drew McIntyre in this one, as far as the world title match. WWE title, I should say. This one, I hope Drew McIntyre beats Sami Zayn and that there's no disrespect with Sami Zayn and Drew. Drew holds the title until I would have fan of CM Punk. Look, I think Drew holding the title to WrestleMania is what should happen. Him losing it this quickly to Sami would make him, transitional champ. And then where does it take Sami? Let's say Sami does win. It has to be a bad guy, right? And I think the forerunner for a bad guy winning the Rumble at the moment is probably Bron Breakker, which, again, we'll get onto him in a minute. But Bron Breakker, Sami's a story, don't get me wrong, but it's not the story they've been telling so far. They can shift gears, but I feel like if he's going to win it, he's going to go after Punk. I feel like if Roman Reigns is going to win it, he's going to go after Punk. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, like, roles reversed, babyface and heel, I don't know. I mean, I'd enjoyed Drew's work in it, but I don't think we need to see that match. For me, I'd keep Roman Reigns as a spectacle on his own. I'd keep him out of the world title pictures at WrestleMania. But hey, look, I'm not booking, am I? Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Roman Reigns needs to be in the main event match of WrestleMania? He felt kind of shoehorned in last year, let's be honest. Because Seth versus CM Punk was the feud that they were seemingly going for a long time. And then Roman got involved, and yeah, it is what it is. Right. Let me commit. Again, the other big name is Bron Breakker. Will Bron Breakker win the Royal Rumble? I mean, he's the perfect candidate, for what I usually like to see. Someone breaking into that upper tier. But again, it's an example of what we've discussed might be the case with Sami winning it, is that you have a number one contender losing the title shot only to become number one contender another way. He just lost his match against CM Punk on the January 5th episode of Raw on Netflix, where they were celebrating the anniversary of 1 year on Netflix. And it was a great match. I wouldn't mind them doing it again, but does he need to win the Rumble to get there? Yeah, I mean, they've focused on him a lot. To be fair, he's been a big focus over the past few weeks on Monday Night Raw. Since before that, to be fair, will he win? I mean, will we see Seth Rollins show up soon? I don't really know what his injury status is like. And going by the last one where it was faked, you never know with Seth Rollins, but it seems to be a bit longer. But like, they're really focusing on the kind of aspect of division and also on, Austin Theory using his stomp and stuff like that, which is, something they can pick up in the future when Seth does come back. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Seth does get involved. Or does return. Right, before we get to returns and special kind of entrances and stuff like that, let's commit to the Men's Royal Rumble. I'm gonna go with Bron Breakker. I think Bron Breakker must be one of the favourites to win the Royal Rumble. I wouldn't be against it. I just said like him being number one contender only to become number one contender again. Look, if I want that for Sami, I got to be okay to some extent with someone else. And I'm not. It's not like Braun Breaker's ridiculously rammed down our throat. I think he's had a natural progression that makes sense, and him main event in WrestleMania kind of makes sense as well. So Braun Breaker with a vision behind him, going into a big match at WrestleMania against CM Punk, possibly beating CM Punk for that title. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? But I think I want the Sami Zayn story more. I mean, I know I want the Sami Zayn story more. Right. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get on to predictions. I'll tell you what, let's talk Aiden's predictions. I said earlier on, he sent his predictions to me on Twitter/X at RM Pro Wrestling. If you don't follow us already, check us out on there. And of course, please subscribe to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel if you like what we see here tonight as well. This is your weekend kickoff show for the Royal Rumble weekend. And we will also have a build-up show in the hours leading up to the PLE itself. We'll be talking last-minute rumors. But let's talk about Aiden's predictions. He sent them in. He says, Royal Rumble predictions, AJ to beat Gunther. We've touched on that already. I think that will probably be the case. Drew to beat Sami. I agree with you there, Aiden. Raquel Rodriguez to win the Rumble with the most eliminations. We'll try and get into those kind of predictions on the build-up show, by the way, guys. I love doing things like most eliminations, who's going to be in their longest and stuff like that, quickest elimination. So we'll get into those on the build-up show. But you say Raquel winning the Rumble. Could happen. It'd be weird, though. She's about to... I'm sure she's facing... Stephanie for the title on Monday, right? So we'll see how that goes. Imagine that, winning the title and being Royal Rumble winner. So go after the other champ, I guess. Solo Sikoa, or just give yourself the night off to win the men's Royal Rumble. Interesting pick there. Braun Breaker with the most eliminations and the Iron Man. I can certainly see that happening if he doesn't win the Rumble himself. The final four, Aiden predicts Perez, Rodriguez, Rhea, and Bayley. That's a good, strong final four. I can see something like that. With final two being Raquel Rodriguez and Rhea Ripley. Men's final four, he's got Solo Sikoa, Cody Rhodes, Braun Breaker, and Jey Uso. Definitely could see something like that as well. With the final two being Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes. Of course, Aiden's pick is Solo Sikoa winning the Royal Rumble. Thank you for that, Aiden. Appreciate that, and appreciate all the comments on the stream itself. Another comment here from Casper says, don't forget Trick Williams and Randy Orton in the men's Royal Rumble. And we could get Sol Ruka for the women's, but I do think Sol Ruka will be in the Rumble. The only thing that puts me off is, what did that say? I can't see that there. Is her breakup. Her breakup? She had a breakup? Is that what you're saying? Like a relationship breakup? I saw a rumor that she is going to be in the Royal Rumble, and I can see it. Her and Lola Vice, I can see both of those be in the Royal Rumble. They do tend to rely on a lot of NXT talent when it comes to Women's Rumble, which is not as necessary anymore, especially all the kind of legend spots as well, because there are so many great wrestlers on the main roster. But it's always good to see them get a chance. It was good to see the legends get their kind of moment in the sun once more as well, especially in those early Women's Rumbles where it was great to bring them back to get an opportunity to do something they were never able to do when they were on the active roster. Ava announced that she's leaving WWE. Is that right? Ava is in The Rock's daughter? Wow. You're right. Yeah. That's crazy. Breaking news. Ava is leaving WWE. I'm very shocked by that. Interesting. I mean, a position that she's been in for quite some time, of course, NXT general manager. She was wrestling at first and kind of moved away from that. There's been a lot of speculation around her positioning on the show. Wow, okay, so she says, this past Tuesday was my last appearance on NXT and subsequently WWE. Thank you to all who have cheered, watched, and supported me throughout my journey. While my decision to not renew my contract was very difficult, it's also a new turning point in my life. It's been an honor and a privilege to be Ava. Wow, very interesting. Yeah, she joined in 2020. Of course, The Rock's daughter. Now has left WWE. An interesting time. And The Rock, of course, is a member of the board of TKO, which now owns WWE. Wow. So yeah, pretty big news there. Ava leaving WWE. I mean, I would assume she would have done more. But maybe it's just not worked out for her. She's not enjoyed it. She's thought, you know what, I'll give it a go, and it's not for me. Of course, that was the case in the ring. They tried to give her another position. I thought for the most part it was all right. It went quite well, but maybe it was just kind of where else does it go from here? So at such a young age to be an on-screen character in that kind of way after like moving away from wrestling, there's maybe only so much you can do. Look, don't get me wrong, there are characters like Teddy Long was on air for a long time, but even he moved from a referee before that, a manager. But these on-screen characters, Eric Bischoff, an on-screen kind of GM and owner and stuff like that for a long, long time, but was pretty young himself, but not quite as young as Ava was when she joined WWE and transitioned. I don't think so. Was a backstage announcer himself first of all, of course, and interesting Ava, but career change for Ava. Let's get back to some of your comments though. Christopher also says Liv Morgan wins to eliminate Roxanne Perez last. I mean, I can see it, and it'll be awkward when they kind of still probably help Raquel maybe beat Stephanie Vaquer, and then she still says I'm coming after you, sort of thing. We'll have to see how that goes. Potential breakup of Zarya and Sol Ruka on NXT. Sorry, I missed that. I completely missed that, mate. Thanks for filling me in. I haven't watched NXT lately, so yeah, I didn't know that was the case. But fair enough. I do think Sol Ruka will be showing up at the Royal Rumble, though. I think WWE have got high hopes for her, and she's been fantastic every time she's been kind of on the main roster. So we'll see how she does here. She does enter the Royal Rumble this year. That pretty much brings us to the end of the show, guys. Again, we've only lightly touched on Chris Jericho and Powerhouse Hobbs, and that's because I want to dive into it further on the build-up show on Saturday as well. And again, hopefully we'll be joined by other members of the crew and friends from the wrestling media world. They're always some of our favourite shows to do, the build-up show, of course. It's chaos. I mean, we just had some breaking news there of Ava leaving WWE, but on the night of a PLE, there tends to be a lot of rumors and kind of breaking news flying around as well. So it'll be exciting to enjoy that with you guys on Saturday as we head towards the PLE itself, taking you right up until the show starts. And then after the show itself, we'll come back live with an instant reaction review where we break down all the big stories that come out of the Royal Rumble. Of course, the men's Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble, the WWE title match, and of course, AJ Styles' potential last WWE match as well. So it's a fun card. It's an emotional card where there's going to be a lot of things happening that could shape, careers and WWE's kind of top tier over the next few months as well. So I'm really looking forward to diving into it further with you guys on the build-up show. Thank you to everyone that's joined us. Again, this is our weekend kickoff. If you haven't already, make sure to go back and watch our watch-along experience of WWE's kickoff show. You'll see my instant reactions to everything that went down there and some of my original kind of thoughts and predictions on what might happen on WrestleMania weekend. A few more comments here before we do wrap up. Casper says, I'm devastated Ava is leaving WWE and gutted NXT. I thought she was doing a good job over on NXT. Loved her work on NXT, in my opinion. She was even speaking to his brother about it. Yeah, I know that she had a lot of people complain because of the kind of Nepo baby type accusations and stuff like that. But like, I think she did all right for a position, and I wish her well. Christopher says, if Liv Morgan wins the Royal Rumble and Raquel Rodriguez beats Stephanie Vaquer for the women's world title, yeah, certainly could be something we see head into WrestleMania. Again, it's a story that's been told before, but hey, when you freshen up the characters, it's an opportunity to tell it again in a fun new way. Talking of fun again, we'll be back for the build-up show. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to be going live tomorrow on Saturday, taking you right up to the start of the PLE. It will start, of course, with replays of this stream and our watch-along that I mentioned just a moment ago. So if you are watching at the moment on a replay version of this stream, stay tuned. It's coming up to you live. But if you are watching in my timeline on Friday night, then please subscribe if you haven't already. And make sure you click click that bell icon for notifications so you know when we are going live for the build-up show. It's not just build-up shows, previews, predictions, and podcast reviews on this channel, though. We also get the opportunity to interview some of your favorite WWE superstars. And we've had the privilege to chat to people like Rhea Ripley in the past. We had great conversations with her about her, lifestyle, and we'll go into alternative music. Also had a great conversation with Tommaso Ciampa, of course, recently signed with AEW. There he is, though, with Goldie when he was NXT champion. And again, I mentioned earlier on, one of my favorite stories that WWE have told in recent years is the DIY story, and he talks a little bit about how he thought that should have ended. Drew McIntyre is your WWE champion at the moment, but we talked about the story behind the match where it looked like he was about to have his breakout moment just a few years ago, and it didn't quite work out for him. So if you want to know his thoughts on that, check it out on this channel. But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. Christopher thinks that AJ Lee will be showing up at the Royal Rumble. We've discussed that a little bit, Christopher, and I think we are pretty much all in agreement that she probably will show up, which is crazy, right? This time last year, we thought she'd be a surprise entrant. It would be a bit of a surprise this year, but the surprise they gave us was at WrestlePalooza. It wasn't at Royal Rumble, and it wasn't at WrestleMania, and it wasn't at Evolution, where many of us thought as well. But look, she's back in WWE now, so hopefully we'll see her returning to our screens at the Royal Rumble as well. But once again, I've been Scott. This has been a Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel's weekend kickoff for the Royal Rumble weekend in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We appreciate all the support. If you're watching on demand, drop your comments as well. And if you're watching on the replay, stay tuned for the build-up show. But we'll be back for that on Saturday, breaking down all the big stories surrounding Royal Rumble and talking last-minute rumors as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Casper. Appreciate you joining us as always. And to those others commenting and liking in the background, please take care and enjoy Royal Rumble weekend. I'll see you on the build-up show.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.